Exposed, the heartwarming journey of a lonely CEO who saved a shivering nurse and her baby. Jack Keller, a 42-year-old CEO, paced the dimly lit office of his bustling tech startup in suburban Ohio. The frenetic sound of keyboards clacking filled the air as he signed off yet another proposal for a lucrative partnership. Each stroke of his pen echoed in the sterile quietness of the night. He paused, staring out at the snowfall blanketing the town, wishing for warmth more than what success had to offer. It was hard to ignore the gaping void in his life. He missed the simple, joyful gatherings with family, the laughter of his mother, the feel of belonging. The walls of triumph encased him, yet he could feel the chill creeping in. As he drove home, the glow from holiday decorations was a stark contrast to the dark thoughts swirling in his mind. But fate had different plans. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a figure on the side of the road, a woman clutching a baby, her breath visible in the sharp December air. Instead of zooming past as most would, Jack's heart raced, and he pulled over. As he stepped out, the cold bit into him, but the sight of Emily, her face aglow with both fear and resilience, warmed him in ways he never thought possible. He offered her a ride to a nearby diner. Inside, steaming cups of coffee were soon in hand, their warmth mingling with the aroma of fried food and holiday cheer. "I'm so sorry," Emily said, trying to comfort the baby, while voicing her struggles. Single motherhood, relentless shifts at the hospital, it all poured out. As she spoke, Jack felt a strange weight lift. The walls he'd put up around his heart began to crumble. She wasn't just a nurse, she was a warrior, fighting against all odds, and her spirit stirred something deep within him, a longing for connection. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As weeks rolled by, something felt different in Jack. Inspired by Emily, he decided to channel his newfound energy into a fundraiser aimed at supporting single parents in their community. But just as hope surged through him, so did resistance from his corporate peers. "Why should we help them?" they scoffed, attitudes rich with privilege. Jack felt torn. He knew the stakes were high, but the thought of Emily and her child kept fueling his fight. The struggle morphed into something much bigger, a battleground of values, an awakening of change. As he stood in front of his team, mustering courage to share Emily's story, he felt a flicker of hope amid uncertainty. Would this act of defiance shatter the very foundation of their elite circle, igniting a wave of compassion, or would it dim in the face of judgment? Just as Jack braced for the confrontation of his life, the diner lights flickered, announcing an urgent news update about the fundraiser, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown between societal expectations and the power of human connection. Jack took a deep breath, realizing he was on the precipice of transformation, but would he have the strength to redefine success against the chilling winter of adversity? The room fell silent as the TV blared breaking news, cutting through the tense atmosphere like a knife. Jack's heart raced as he turned to face the flickering screen. In a remarkable turn of events, local CEO Jack Keller has announced a fundraiser designed to aid single parents in the community, the anchor stated, eyes wide with interest. Jack could only catch glimpses of his colleagues' reactions, grimaces, whispered doubts, and crossed arms. His stomach twisted as he felt their skepticism like a weight pressing down on him. How could he do this? Their expressions seemed to shout. He had prepared himself for the harsh words, yet this initial response felt like a punch to the gut. Their disbelief was palpable, and for a moment, Jack felt small, just a hopeful man against an unyielding wall of tradition and apathy. But then he looked at Emily. She sat across the table, cradling her baby, a calm presence amid the brewing storm. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of admiration and fear. It was the flicker of hope that kept him steady. If not us, then who? He thought, channeling the weight of her struggles into courage. He cleared his throat, ready to plunge into the fray. Every child deserves a chance. Every parent fighting through the night deserves support. We can be that change. He expected laughter, he anticipated derision, but instead, he met their eyes, and something shifted. One by one, his colleagues shifted in their seats. Jack continued, venturing deeper into their shared humanity. We're not just a tech startup. We're part of this community, filled with people like Emily. The truth is, a little kindness can go a long way. As he concluded, a slow clap started in the back of the room. It was a fellow manager named Greg. Ross, another team member, joined him, followed by others, until applause filled the space, echoing the counternarrative of compassion against skepticism. Yet Jack knew that this was just the beginning. The real battle lay ahead, a fundraiser that needed backing, support from people who hadn't seen the value of sacrifice. He turned to Emily, her cheeks flushed slightly with pride. You inspired this, he said softly, and their eyes connected with a depth that said more than words ever could. But outside the walls of the diner, the snow continued to fall, covering the world in a blanket of white uncertainty. As the applause faded, Jack felt the burden of his next steps weighing heavily on him. Would the community rally together? Would they finally understand what it means to support one another? The warmth he felt continued to flicker, but there were cold winds of doubt pushing against it. Suddenly, the diner door swung open and a figure stepped inside. Jack's heart skipped as he recognized the scruffy man with a homeless sign. The air thick with tension changed as he approached their table, and everyone went quiet. Jack felt every gaze fix on him. Would this man be an obstacle or an opportunity? With a shaky breath, the man held out his hands, palms open, and spoke, I heard you're trying to help people like me. How can I help? What would Jack choose to do now? Would he embrace this unexpected ally or retreat back into the safety of the familiar? The diner fell into a hush that was thicker than the swirling flakes falling outside. Jack stared at the man, a mix of hope and fear churning in his gut. The eyes of his colleagues bore into him a melting pot of skepticism and curiosity. Thanks for coming in, Jack finally said, feeling the weight of those simple words. He was astonished at the tremor in his voice. What's your name? Vinny, the man replied, his voice rough like gravel but steady. I used to have a family. Lost everything a couple of years back. He glanced around, taking in the eager eyes of Jack's team. I heard about what you're doing. You want to help parents, don't ya? Jack sensed the shift. An unexpected ally. In that moment, a thread of connection wove through the diner, a common struggle, a shared heartache. Yes, he said firmly. We want to reach out to single parents and give them resources whatever they need. This is about community. Vinny nodded. I know about struggle. Maybe I can help too. Their gazes locked, and Jack saw a glimmer of something resilience. The man might have had little, but the spark of willingness to help shone through. Emily stirred beside Jack, catching his eye. There was an understanding there. She leaned in slightly, watching as Vinny spoke, his hands now animated with hope. I can help you organize stuff. Maybe I could connect you with other folks down at the shelter. You need support, and I can get them to lend a hand. Jack marveled at the possibility unfurling before him. That would be amazing, he said. We need all the help we can get. With your connections, we could make a real impact. The applause that had filled the room earlier felt like a distant memory now, replaced by the intensity of the moment. Jack's colleagues exchanged glances filled with intrigue and, slowly, a tinge of admiration. He could practically hear the gears turning in their minds. Maybe they could be part of something greater than themselves. Vinny shifted nervously. I want to be clear. I don't have a lot. Just my time and experience. But I believe in what you're doing. His eyes held the weight of his past but sparkled with the possibility of change. Suddenly, the diner filled with murmurs as one of Jack's colleagues, Greg, stood up. "Let us hear Vinny out. He's got a life experience most of us don't. He understands what these parents face." Jack's heart raced. Encouragement? Support? Around the room, heads nodded in agreement. The atmosphere shifted, blossoming into something more uplifting, a community coming to life, ready to put their hands into this endeavor together. "Let us meet and brainstorm," Jack said, his voice thick with emotion. "We'll create something beautiful here, a safety net for all those who've fallen through." As they began to discuss potential ideas, a wave of energy surged through the diner, overshadowing the doubts that had once dominated the space. Jack glanced at Emily, her face radiant with hope. But even as excitement brewed, Jack couldn't shake off the fear lingering in the back of his mind. What if they fell short? What if this was just a fleeting moment of enthusiasm? Just then, a ringing cell phone interrupted their gathering. Jack turned to see one of his team members, Sarah, looking pale. She answered, her voice wavering. "What? Really?" Jack's pulse quickened. Was it bad news? As Sarah hung up, her eyes darted to Jack, filled with urgency. "There's been an incident at the shelter. They need help now." What awaited them on the other side of that call? Would this be their moment to shine, or would it expose vulnerabilities they hadn't bargained for? The room fell into an uneasy silence, all eyes now glued to Sarah. Jack's heart raced like a drum in his chest. He could almost hear the weight of the moment pressing against his shoulders. "What happened, Sarah?" he asked, forcing himself to keep his voice steady. "They said there was a fire at the shelter," she replied, her hands trembling slightly. "Some families were evacuated, but they need volunteers to help with the chaos, food, blankets, everything." Jack's mind spun. The exhilaration of hope from moments ago had shifted into a storm of uncertainty. "How bad is it?" "I don't know all the details, but they're overwhelmed," she said, her voice cracking. "They really need anyone who can lend a hand." Vinny stepped forward, his posture firm despite the anxiety creeping into the air. "I know the shelter well. I've spent time there. Let us go. I can help organize things." Jack looked around the diner. Faces that moments ago glowed with excitement now reflected the gravity of the situation. "Listen up, everyone," he called, urgency creasing his brow. "We need to mobilize. If you can help out, now's the time. Grab your coats." Emily nodded, encouraging him with a smile. "We'll get through this, Jack. We'll be a part of something real," she said, her voice steady. The energy shifted again, igniting a fire within the team. No longer just brainstorming about the future, they were being thrust into the present moment, where help was desperately needed. Together, they filed out of the diner, the cold air biting at their faces as they moved with purpose. The snow swirled around them like a white veil, but Jack felt warmed by the camaraderie blossoming among his team. Each step felt heavy, but lighter with shared determination. Vinny led them through the streets, his deep voice cutting through the howling winds. "Once we get there, we'll need to sort through the donations, or set up a space for people to get warm. Communication is key, we can't let the chaos consume us." Jack nodded, reassured by Vinny's confidence. "And we need to be ready for anything. Families are scared, and we have to be a source of support." They reached the shelter, a chaotic scene unfolding before them. Smoke curled into the air, and emergency vehicles littered the street. The frantic movement of firefighters filled the space, trying to manage the fallout of the fire. Seeing the faces of displaced families struck Jack directly in the heart. Parents cradled children, wrapped in blankets, their faces etched with worry. Feeling the weight of the moment, Jack rallied his team quickly. "All right, remember what we talked about. Let us focus on comfort and reassurance." As they settled into their tasks, time blurred. They handed out supplies, offered hot drinks, and worked tirelessly to bring some semblance of calm to the surrounding chaos. Jack's hands trembled as he poured steaming cups of coffee for the exhausted parents, trying to bridge a moment of warmth amid the uncertainty. "Thank you," a mother whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. Jack couldn't help but smile back, heart swelling. He felt a connection there, one of shared struggle, hope threading through their fleeting moment of despair. Suddenly, Vinny's voice rang out. "Over here. We need to set up a safe space for the kids." Jack turned quickly, following Vinny's lead. As they began to create a makeshift area with toys and blankets, he couldn't shake a creeping thought. Would they be enough? But there, in that moment of solace, a little boy reached out, his tiny hand finding Jack's. The warmth of that small gesture gave Jack the strength he didn't know he needed. What was happening was bigger than just him or his team. They were building something together, not just for the families around them, but for each other too. But just as Jack felt a spark of hope blooming, he caught sight of something that made his stomach drop. One of the parents, frazzled and searching, was looking for something or someone. Who were they looking for? And what did it mean for the journey ahead? The searching eyes of the mother felt like a weight in the air, pinning Jack in place. There was a sense of desperation in her expression, the frantic darting of her gaze around the shelter. He wanted to approach her, to ask if he could do anything, but the moment held him captive. Vinny was deep in conversation with another volunteer, organizing supplies, while Emily was comforting a crying toddler. The atmosphere buzzed with chaos, but Jack's focus remained on the mother, her face pale and strained. "What's wrong?" he finally managed to whisper to himself, feeling the urgency wrapping around him. His heart raced as he noticed her gripping a photo tightly. It took everything in him not to walk over and pry into her private anguish. He cleared his throat and moved toward her, pushing back the worry tightening his chest. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said gently. "Can I help you with anything? Are you looking for someone?" The woman turned, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "My husband, he wasn't with us when the fire broke out," she stammered, her voice breaking with each word. "He was at the grocery store when it happened. I haven't heard from him." Jack felt a pang of sympathy ripple through him. He struggled with the urge to offer a platitude or reassurance. Instead, he just nodded, leaning in a little closer. "We'll find him. I promise you we will. Can you remember the last time you spoke with him?" She took a deep breath, her hands shaking as she tried to recall. "An hour before the fire he said he would be right back." Her hand fisted tighter around the picture, revealing a happy moment captured in time, their family before the chaos. "Okay," Jack said, determination igniting within him. "I'll check with the emergency services outside. They might have information. Just hold tight." As he walked away, he could feel the weight of her gaze following him. In that helpless moment, he realized that everyone in the shelter was connected through pain, fear, and uncertainty. He pushed through the bustling crowd, dodging volunteers and frightened families, weaving towards the nearest firefighter he recognized. "Excuse me," Jack called, his voice strained above the noise. The firefighter turned, the exhaustion etched on his face echoing Jack's thoughts. "A woman is looking for her husband. He was at the store when the fire broke out. Do you have any news?" The firefighter shook his head, but his eyes softened at Jack's urgency. "We're still trying to account for everyone. I'll make a note of it, but it's tough right now." Jack nodded, feeling another weight settle on his chest. Each unknown carried its own burden, and he needed to hold on to hope for that mother. He returned to her side, keeping his composure as he relayed the information. "Help is coming," he said gently, hoping to instill some strength through his words. "They're doing everything they can. You're not alone." A faint, almost imperceptible smile broke through her fear. "Thank you," she murmured. "Thank you for caring." The moment held a bittersweet beauty, and Jack felt a surge of purpose. Maybe in this chaotic storm, they could still find little rays of hope together. He went back to his team, the little boy's hand still warm in his, realizing they needed to work harder. As the evening pressed on, laughter among children filled the air, a jarring contrast to the heavy worries looming over the shelter. Jack watched Emily playing a game with the kids, her laughter radiating warmth, and felt a sense of gratitude for the little things. Yet, in the back of his mind, the mother's pain reverberated. Just then, Vinny rushed over, his eyes wide with urgency. "Jack! We got a lead on that missing family. It might be good news." Jack's heart skipped. Hope surged again, but the fear of heartbreak loomed directly behind it. Would this moment lead them to relief or deeper despair? What if, he thought, bracing himself for whatever was about to unfold? What if they weren't just searching for a husband, but the harmony of a family still intact? The answer lay ahead, waiting to unravel in a whirlwind of emotions. The shelter buzzed with a mix of faint laughter and muffled cries. It was a space where hope hung like a thread amidst chaos. As Vinny urged Jack to follow him, Jack's mind raced with the potential impact of the new lead. What awaited them? The fire had left so many searching for loved ones, and he knew the weight of that search all too well. "Come on, let us talk over here," Vinny said, leading him to a quiet corner where the noise dimmed just a little. Jack's heart raced as he leaned in, anxious for the details. "There's a family from the grocery store," Vinny explained, his voice a low whisper. "They were one of the last people on the scene before the evacuation. They've been looking for a way to find out if anyone's heard from them." Jack's pulse quickened. "Do they know where they might have gone?" "Possibly to a nearby shelter that's been set up for families evacuated. We don't know for sure, but it's a starting point." "Let us go then," Jack replied, urgency flickering through him. He turned back towards where he'd last seen the mother. He needed her to know that there was a chance for her husband, for her family. As he pushed back through the crowd, he scanned each face, searching for her. Finally, he spotted her, still clutching the picture, her fingers creasing the paper. She looked up as he approached, her eyes weary but filled with a flicker of hope. "Ma'am," Jack called gently, trying to keep his voice steady. "We might have found a lead on your husband." Her eyes widened, and he could see the spark of hope ignite amid her worry. "What do you mean?" she asked, stepping closer, her breath quickening. "A family from the grocery store might have seen him before evacuation," he explained, his heart pounding with the weight of what he had to say next. "We're heading to another shelter where they could be. Would you like to come with me? We can check together. I know you're scared, but there's a chance." She hesitated, glancing back at the little boy beside her. Jack smiled softly, hoping to lift her spirit. "We'll make sure he is safe. You won't be alone in this." With a brief nod, she straightened her shoulders, determination slowly replacing fear. "Yes, let us go." As they made their way through the busy shelter, Jack felt the rising tide of hope and anxiety blend within himself. They reached the exit, and just as Jack was about to step outside, Emily appeared, a curious look on her face. "Where are you going?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. "You can't just leave." "We might have found information about her husband," Jack replied, pointing toward the mother. "We need to check another shelter." Emily's expression softened, and she nodded. "I'll come too. You might need support." Together, they stepped out into the cool night air, the stars flickering above like distant, watchful eyes. The streets were littered with remnants of the fire, while the sirens still wailed in the background. Jack felt the weight of the night pressing against him. Would they truly find him? What if, despite their efforts, it ended in despair? As they hurried toward the other shelter, Jack thought of the strength it took to carry hope for one more hour. He turned to glance back at the mother, who walked with purpose now, her hands steady on her son's shoulders. Each step they took felt heavy, yet there was a newfound energy surging within them, a collective force driving them forward. The flicker of hope was contagious. Then, out of nowhere, a voice behind them called. "Wait!" It was a firefighter, out of breath, struggling to catch up. "You need to see this. We just got intel on the location of someone you're looking for." Jack froze. Heart pounding, he turned back, fear mixing with the hope building inside him. What news could this be? Was it going to be a door to a reunion or a deeper plunge into despair? This twist could unravel everything. The moment hung in the air, thick with tension, as they awaited the words that would shape their night. What awaited them on this uncertain path? The firefighter took another deep breath, wiping sweat from his brow. "We believe we found someone who knows your husband. He was spotted at the north side shelter. You need to hurry." Jack's heart skipped a beat. A voice? Someone who might know? He turned to the mother, whose expression shifted from uncertainty to sheer determination. "Do you know how far it is?" She pressed, desperation creeping into her tone. 10 blocks, the firefighter replied. "But there are still some hot spots. You need to be careful." "It's okay," Jack said, stepping closer to her. "We can do this. We've already come this far." He glanced at Emily, who nodded in silent agreement. They were in this together, come what may. The mother clasped her son's hand tightly. "I can't wait. I need to go. He needs to be safe." Her voice trembled, but her resolve shone through. "Then let us go," Jack urged, shaking off doubt. With a wave of gratitude towards the firefighter, they set off down the street, sticking close to the buildings for cover. It was dark, the faint glow from street lamps flickering like dying embers. Each block felt like a lifetime, each shadow a reminder of what they were fighting against. The intensity in the mother's eyes fueled Jack's steps. He felt the warmth of hope and fear mixing in his chest, urging him forward. "Do you remember anything about the north side shelter?" he asked, trying to keep her mind focused. "Anything that might help us when we get there?" "I heard it had a playroom. That they made it colorful to keep the kids smiling," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "There was an old lady who promised to read stories to them." Her son looked up, eyes wide, trying to picture the fun as they walked. Jack felt the weight of their shared memories pressing on their hearts. Those tiny, bright spaces amid the chaos mattered. Everyone deserved a little joy, even in the face of catastrophe. As they rounded the corner, they saw the dim glow of the north side shelter in the distance. Relief flooded him, but it was quickly accompanied by anxiety. What if they had just missed him? Or worse, what if no one there knew anything? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from a nearby alley. Jack's instincts kicked in. "Stay close," he shouted, gripping the mother's arm like a lifeline. They ducked behind a dumpster, breathless. "What was that?" she gasped, her son clinging tightly to her. "Just a trash can. Probably a stray animal," Jack reassured her, though his own heart raced. He shot a glance down the street, making sure they could still make it. The shelter was barely a block away. He could see people moving in and out. With one last desperate look at the mother, Jack nodded. "It's now or never," he declared. They sprinted toward the shelter, their footsteps echoing against the pavement, their collective urgency blending into one. As they reached the entrance, Jack pushed the door open. Inside, the atmosphere was chaotic yet alive. People milled about, some weeping, others hugging loved ones. Jack's heart raced again. The mom's husband could be here. "Excuse me." He called to a staff member behind the desk. "We're looking for someone from the grocery store." The staff member paused, glancing around as if weighing their chances. "Can you describe him?" Before they could answer, a voice cut through the noise, clear as a bell, slicing through their panic. "Is there a Jennifer here? I have news about Tim." Jack turned, breathlessly scanning for the source, the world around him fading into a blur. Names and faces passed him by, but he knew they couldn't lose this moment. A connection had been made. Jennifer's hand shot up, hope leaping in her chest. Jack's heart pounded. Could this be the moment they'd been waiting for? But as they rushed forward, something whispered in the back of Jack's mind. What if this news changed everything? In that fragile space between hope and despair, their journey had only just begun. Jennifer pushed through the crowd, her heart racing with each hurried step. "I'm here. I'm Jennifer," she shouted, desperate to reach the voice that had sparked a flicker of hope in her otherwise exhausted spirit. Jack and the mother followed closely, fear and anticipation tightening Jack's chest as they surged toward the source. The woman who had spoken stood by a table covered in outreach pamphlets, her kind eyes scanning the room as though she could magically summon the people they all desperately sought. "I just spoke to Tim a few minutes ago," she said, her words tumbling out like they were the answer to prayer. "Where is he?" Jennifer gasped, her breath hitching. "What did he say?" "He's scared, but he's okay. He's with some friends in the back of the shelter, getting away from the noise." A relief washed over Jennifer, and she felt a warmth spread in her chest. Jack could see the cracks in the mother's face slowly start to heal with the light of hope. "Can we go to him?" she managed to say, her voice shaking slightly, as if fear still clung to the edges of her excitement. "Of course. Just follow me." The staff member led the way, moving quickly through the scattered crowd. Jack felt adrenaline surge again. Each step towards the back room felt like crossing an invisible finish line. They reached the door, and the staff member gestured for them to enter first. Jack stepped aside, letting Jennifer and the mother through. There was no turning back now. His heart thudded painfully, anticipation mingling with anxiety. Inside the room, the scene struck Jack a mix of raw emotion. Groups of people were clustered together, some wrapped in blankets, while others sat quietly on the floor, trying to create small moments of comfort amidst the chaos. "Tim!" Jennifer cried, her voice edged with urgency, cutting through the murmur of voices. Near the window, a man turned. His face lit up in recognition. "Jen!" He rushed toward her, his arms open wide. She didn't hold back, practically flying into his embrace, and Jack watched as they finally found each other, the weight of their separation slowly lifting. The mother began to cry, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. Jack felt a swell of emotion in his chest as he silently admired their reunion. But amidst these joyous moments, a knot twisted deeper within him, pulling at his heart. He would never know if they would find success or tragedy again. Tim pulled away from Jennifer, his gaze shifting to the mother. "Is Sam with you?" he asked, worry flooding his features. "We've been searching for him," she replied, her voice quivering. "He was with you at the store. Is he all right?" Tim's face crumpled with remorse. "I thought he was with the group." The room fell silent. Jack instinctively squeezed the mother's arm, offering what comfort he could. "He must be close," he reassured her, but doubt crept in. How could they possibly find him now, in all this confusion? "Wait!" Tim exclaimed suddenly, his eyes brightening. "There's a place, an area where families gather. They might have taken him there." "Where?" Jack pressed, his heart racing again. "Through the main room, to the right. There's a play area, lots of kids are kept together there." Jennifer grabbed the mother's hand tightly, the connection palpable. "Come on. We can do this." They moved quickly, the urgency thick in the air. Jack stayed right beside them, hope slowly building again. Just as they reached the threshold, a loud cry pierced the air, a child's desperate call resonating against the walls. "Mommy!" The words echoed in Jack's heart. They pressed forward, fueled by that single heartbeat of urgency. As they pushed through the last door, Jack's breath caught in his throat. He caught a glimpse of a little boy, shaking and scared, standing at the edge of the play area. Could it be that they would finally reach out for the broken pieces of their lives? But before they could even utter a sound, another voice called out, "Mommy! Help!" The boy turned, tears streaming down his face, but his eyes widened with unfathomable fear, the kind only the devastation of the unknown could bring. Jack froze, the visceral pain in his chest steadying as he realized they were closer to the truth than ever before. How many more surprises waited in the heart of this disaster? And as the child reached out, the real question loomed larger: would they pull him back, or lose him forever? The room was alive with chaos as Jennifer, Jack, and the mother surged forward. Jack's body felt heavy, each step difficult when the cries wrapped around him like a thick fog. He could hardly breathe. Fear clawed at his chest. These cries were the echoes of despair from lost children and frantic mothers. But they had to push through. They had to reach the child. The little boy, trembling and wild-eyed, stood just a few feet away. Jack felt the mother's grip tighten on Jennifer's hand. They caught the boy's gaze, and the moment stretched painfully. Their world felt too big, too overwhelming to grasp. "Sam!" the mother shouted, her voice cracking through the mounting desperation. "Is it you?" The boy hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face. Jack knew that look. He had seen the same torment in many faces: fear of the unknown, the gut-wrenching sense of abandonment. "Mommy? Is that you?" Sam's voice broke as he stumbled forward, tears mingling with the dust on his cheeks. "Yes. Yes, it's me." The mother dashed forward, the dam of fear breaking as she reached for him. They collapsed into each other, the warmth of their connection a balm against the world that had torn them apart. Jack's heart soared with the sight, but deep inside, a twist of anxiety remained. Would Sam be okay? Was this what they'd been searching for all along? The joyful reunion was quickly punctured by the loud murmur of the crowd outside. Jack glanced at Jennifer, her face alight with relief but overshadowed by the lingering sense of urgency. "What do we do now?" she asked, voice tremulous. "Let us get them both out of here," he replied quickly, scanning the room. "This place is too chaotic. We need a safer spot." Jennifer nodded, relief radiating from her. She hugged Sam tightly, whispering promises of safety while looking to Jack. "Where do we go?" "Back to the main area," he suggested. "They might have more resources there. Maybe there's a quiet room or a place where families can rest." As they turned to leave, though, another commotion behind them grabbed their attention. A staff member was rushing in, shouting amidst the noise. "Help! We need help over here." Everybody turned, curiosity and concern washing over the scene. Jack's sense of dread grew sharper. What now? He found himself half-heartedly hoping they wouldn't face another loss this night. The staff member pointed urgently toward a corner of the room, where a figure lay crumpled on the ground. Jack's blood ran cold. Was it another child, another casualty of the evening? "Stay here." Jack turned to Jennifer and the mother, his heart racing. He had to see. "No, I'm going with you," Jennifer insisted, fear igniting fierceness in her eyes. Jack hesitated but ultimately nodded, knowing she wouldn't let go. They moved toward the figure cautiously, breath heavy and tension razor-sharp. As they rounded the group, they located a young woman, unconscious and slumped against the wall, her child crying beside her. The sight knocked the breath from Jack's lungs. Was the chaos never-ending? "Can someone help her?" Jack shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. The crowd murmured uneasily, unsure of what to do. But that didn't matter, not right now. As Jack knelt to assess the woman, a small hand pulled at his sleeve. He turned to find Sam, still watery-eyed but now clutching a stuffed bear. "Is she going to be okay?" he asked with a quaver. The innocence in the child's voice hit Jack like a brick. He swallowed hard, the bottom of his gut churning. "I hope so, buddy. But we need to help her first." But deep down, Jack felt the weight of uncertainty. In a world of chaos, how could they put everything back together? How many more were out there waiting for rescue? And as Jack and Jennifer turned their attention to the unconscious woman, the question came full circle: Would they have the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead, or would the storm swallow them whole? Jack's mind was racing, thoughts clashing like thunder in a summer storm. As he knelt beside the unconscious woman, he felt her light pulse beneath his fingertips and couldn't shake off the chilling realization, they were all connected in this fragile tapestry of human lives. Each story was intertwined with another, an endless web of hope, desperation, and survival. "Stay back, please," he shouted to the gathering crowd, his voice cutting through the murmurs. A few stepped forward, concern painted on their faces, but many remained frozen, paralyzed by fear of what they might find. "I'll go get help," Jennifer yelled, determination igniting her spirit. She turned to sprint toward the entrance, her heart pumping adrenaline that propelled her forward. Jack nodded, grateful for her resolve. His focus returned to the woman before him, the cries of her child now piercing through the noise around him. "Hey, buddy," Jack said softly, turning towards the little boy, tears pooling in his round eyes. "Can you tell me your name?" "Be Benny," he stuttered, his tiny voice trembling. Jack crouched down beside him, trying to exude calm. "Benny, I need you to help me be brave. Can you do that?" Jack was barely holding it together, but seeing the fear in the child's gaze stirred something protective inside him. "Why yes," Benny whispered, clutching his stuffed bear tightly. "Good. I need you to stay close to your mom and let me check her out, okay?" Benny nodded, his gaze flicking between Jack and his mother, newly crowned with urgency. As Jack reached out, his heart raced with a mix of hope and dread. He fumbled for the woman's pulse again, the beat felt stronger now. "That's good," he muttered more to himself than anyone else. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind him as Jennifer returned, flanked by a couple of volunteers. Relief washed over Jack as he felt the wave of support crashing into the chaos. "She's alive!" Jack exclaimed, eyes locked on the woman. "We need to get her stabilized." With urgent precision, the volunteers moved into action. They checked vital signs, assessed the woman's breathing, and provided the care needed to keep her stable. Jack stepped back, allowing them the space they needed, but his heart remained firmly squeezed by Benny's fear. "Is she going to wake up?" Benny asked, his voice full of childlike hope. Jack nodded. "She just needs a little bit of help right now." As if on cue, the woman's eyelashes fluttered, and she stirred, a soft groan escaping her lips. "Mommy!" Benny shouted, eyes wide as he reached for her. Jack held him gently to keep him from overwhelming the moment. "Hey," Jack said softly, "she can feel you. Take a deep breath. It's okay." The woman's eyes opened slowly, confusion washing over her features. "Benny?" she croaked, her voice rough. "Mommy. I'm right here." He flung into her arms, and at that moment, everything else seemed to fade away. Jack took a step back, letting the family have their moment, but he couldn't help but feel the warmth of love radiate from them, a moment that stitched back together the pieces of a broken night, but the chaos was far from over. Behind him, the din of the shelter continued, loud sirens and whispered concerns. Jack turned just in time to see another group of volunteers organizing supplies, ushering families toward safety. They were working like a well-oiled machine, a testament to a community coming alive in the face of despair. Jack knew this wasn't just a rescue, it was a rebirth. Each face he saw grief mixed with hope, resolve dripping with uncertainty reflected something deeper. What they were building inside those walls was more than just a safety net, it was a refuge. A new way forward. Time blurred around him as he watched families reunite, smiles blooming alongside tears. The little boy still clung to his mother, but hope warmed Jack's heart as he spotted Vinny coordinating volunteers near the back, each of them bridging the gaps in a beautiful mosaic of community. "Jack!" Vinny called, motioning for him to join. "We need all hands on deck for the next wave of families coming in." Jack glanced at the now reunited mother and son before nodding at Vinny and making his way over. "What can we do?" "Assemble blankets, food, and hot drinks were setting up a warm welcome for families as they arrive. Some may have lost everything, we need to show we care. Jack felt fire ignite within him. This was the moment they could truly transform everything they defaced. Let us do it, he said, a surge of determination marking his voice. The team rallied around. They were no longer just co-workers, but a formidable family bonded by the night's trials. Amidst the hustle, Emily caught Jack's gaze, a radiant smile spreading across her face that mirrored his own. Together, they poured their hearts into gathering supplies, meeting with every person that passed through those doors, ensuring they knew they were not alone. Soon, families arrived in waves, greeted by warmth and kindness. Jack felt his heart swell with pride. They were reclaiming their power, embracing connections where before there had only been isolation and apathy. The night stretched into dawn. That warmth in Jack's chest, the hollow void that had once consumed him, was now filled to the brim with purpose, with belonging. He turned and saw Vinny talking to a group of parents, sharing stories of struggle and strength. As families reunited, laughter rang out. They filled the space with redemption, the dawning of a new era. That was real success, not the office accolades or the bottom line, but the lives they began to touch. By morning, the shelter was a tapestry rich with laughter, stories, and healing. Jack couldn't help but reflect on how, on this cold winter night, warmth had seeped into the cracks of his heart. He had found something profoundly beautiful amidst the pain. Jack leaned against the wall for a moment, allowing the rush of emotions to flow through him. He caught sight again of Emily, still glowing, surrounded by families sharing hot meals, smiles lighting up even the darkest corners. In that moment, he felt invincible. They had all transformed through this experience, from lonely souls lost in their own worlds to a family united by love, compassion, and shared purpose. "Hey, we did it," Jack said, catching Emily's eye. "We sure did," she replied, laughter sparkling in her eyes. As dawn broke, Jack knew one thing with certainty: true strength lies in connection. And as he stood among the people he had once barely known, he felt that legacy carry him forward, embracing life beyond success, for everyone deserves a second chance, and together, they would keep building. If you felt your heart tugging through this story, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel for more exclusive journeys. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us reach more people who need to see the power of transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear it all. And wait not even one more second, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions, so join our vibrant community today.